Over the years, our family's had a share of health problems.
So prescriptions are a part of our life.
Before we went to the big box store.
We both thought it would help us save. But with the long lines and impersonal service, filling prescriptions became a chore. That's when a friend recommended D&H.
Now Tristan knows our prescriptions. Brenda always helps us find the right vitamins. And after Dad's fall, Monica's been a real expert with all our home medical needs. All without the lines.
Trust and service.
That's our D&H.
Good morning and welcome to Radio Friends on Thursday, January the 14th. Good to have you with us today. I want to introduce you to NANETTE WARD, who is no stranger to Radio Friends. She's with the Central Missouri Stop Human Trafficking Coalition.
Yes, thank you.
Welcome,
Bob.
Nanette.
Thank
and
you.
We have had these discussions on our program for many years now. When we first started, I found it very difficult to believe that human trafficking was occurring right here in Central Missouri, in Missouri and in Central Missouri.
Yes, yes. So we're talking about people, men, women, and children, foreign-born and U.S.-born, who are exploited through force, fraud, and coercion into the sex industry or into forced labor. And they're taken advantage of to the benefit of someone else, whether it's a financial gain or some other gain, drugs or something else, that profit is made off of the exploitation of them in the sex industry or in forced labor.
Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be foreign citizens who were brought to the United States.
No.
These people are also trying to
they're successfully luring and trafficking U.S.-born children, men, and women here within our city borders, our county borders, our state borders, and across our state.
How are they doing this?
So it could be someone being offered a modeling job. So there was a case just a few months ago, a couple out of Park Hill, Missouri, husband and wife, and they got into the business by luring young girls by saying, oh, we can offer you a modeling job. And there was one gal who apparently was just walking. She was from Illinois, Madison, Illinois. She was walking in her neighborhood, and they approached her, and, you know, they're young and naive, and so she thought this would be a good opportunity and ended up getting in the van, unfortunately, and it was not a modeling job at all, and ended up trafficking her, beating her. And
she was walking in
her own neighborhood in Madison, Illinois, and a Park Hill, Missouri couple picked her up. They were actually, looking for vulnerable young girls.
So they took her instantaneously then from her neighborhood once she got in the van?
Said, we're going to take you to an opportunity for a modeling job. And it was not that old. So once you get in the car, then, we can just use our imagination of the things that happen. It's like flipping a switch. And so she was forced to be sold into prostitution. At one point, she was even sold to a truck driver for $2,000. They sold her for $2,000. But she was returned because the truck driver was afraid that she, might snitch. That was his fear. And so she actually got returned to that couple. She was taken
like a piece of merchandise.
Yes, and that's what trafficking is. You're commodified, you're dehumanized, and remember, there's not only the traffickers who are selling, but people who are buying. So when we talk about the person who bought her for $2,000, who was that person, and what was, what neighborhood does he live in? Where is he working? These are people who are not from dark corners. They're people among us who are the purchasers, who are buying. Children and men and women in the sex industry and exploitation. So.
How do you stop something like this?
By coming on your show and telling people that it does exist and making parents aware who have a 15-year-old that they're actually predators who are in the business of trafficking your children. There are many forms of trafficking, but if we don't say this is what predators are looking for example, young girls who might get enthused about a modeling opportunity and make that decision to go with someone or
without talking to their parents,
or even give a phone number. She might not have even had to get in advance. She could have maybe even just given her phone number, or even said where she lives so they could supposedly go visit and talk to the parents, but then watch for her. And there's a small percentage of kidnapping, but there's many other ways of just luring and finding that vulnerability of a young person. So
it's important for parents to talk to their
Yeah,
children.
and that's just one form, but the sex trafficking of our children is at a very high rate in our country because we have purchasers who want to buy children for sex, and that's just a very dark truth about who we are.
Okay, somebody watching or listening, how do they go about getting more information? How do they go about reporting something if they feel they're seeing something that is suspicious?
So there is a toll-free hotline, national hotline number, and it's 888-373-7888. But I would certainly encourage people to call and ask for a presentation, for a training, whether we talk to a group of kids or do a professional training with a social service group or counselors or educators. We have a toll-free number that's 866-590-5959, and we want to keep doing that education.
So Central Missouri Stop Human Trafficking Coalition will go out to different organizations.
We have been we were formed in 2008, so we are coming up to our 8 years of being in Central Missouri, and throughout those whole 8 years we've been doing outreach and training and education.
Do you ever go to schools?
Yes, we have gone to schools, talked to young people. I've done summer programs where we've talked to young people. The children need to hear it as well.
What kind of reception do you get from the people at school?
So it's a mixed opportunity. It might be that there's a teacher who is absolutely, come to my class, my students need to hear this, but perhaps on an administrative level there's a cautiousness, because when you talk about sex trafficking, then you're hearing the word sex, and are we going to be talking about that? Do we need permission? What kinds of boundaries do we need to
What
have?
is the youngest group that you would say is appropriate to talk to?
I have talked to fourth graders, and when we talk to fourth graders, they know about stranger danger. They've heard from parents about bullying. They've heard about people who are dangerous that might, want to hurt them. And so you talk about that, but also you talk about labor trafficking. So there's this whole other aspect of education that's important, as well as the sex trafficking and the risks of young people in particular. But also you can teach young people how there's slave labor and the things that we eat, or flowers we enjoy, the clothes we wear, fruit we eat, that there are children and adults and people in the world who are being exploited for the sake of things that we might buy and enjoy. And they can understand that.
There's a story in the paper a couple of weeks ago about slave labor used to peel the shrimp that we eat.
Yes, it is. Labor trafficking, sex trafficking, both are on a massive scale in nearly every country. It's on every continent, and certainly every state. There are cases in the United States.
Give us the phone number one more time. We're out of time here. The phone number for to call.
Well,
go ahead.
Okay, January is National Sex Trafficking and Slavery and Human Trafficking Prevention Month, and there is an event on January 26th at the Rotunda for Missouri Sex Trafficking Awareness Month. Come to the Capitol from 9 to 1. There'll be commemorative ceremony from 1 to 2. January 26th at the library. On Tuesday, 6 to 8:30, come to the Columbia Public Library. Hear 3 speakers who are all survivors and learn about trafficking.
Okay, both events on the same day.
January 26th. Come
you.
to the library, 6 o'clock.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.